Hey everybody, Craig here. Welcome. Today we're doing a little live video, so thank you for joining us. I'll wait for people to roll in, but if you are watching this later, make sure you hit the description below. I've included a link to our giveaways page. Right now we're giving away an Insignia 55-inch 4K TV. It's an Amazon Fire Edition TV. So if you're interested in winning that, well, then head to the description below. It's going to take you through a link to a page with all of the contest rules and that sort of thing. So while I'm waiting for people to roll in, I'm going to be pulling up this chat window here so that we can all, so that you can respond and I can see what you guys are talking about. So if you have any questions as we go through this video about, anything streaming TV related, really is within bounds today. So hit me up with whatever it is that you would like to talk about and we will do that. So now then, let's see, it says I'm live, but I'm just making sure that the stream is working. Yeah, it looks like we're all right. So the first thing, before we get started on anything else, I want to make sure I talk about Prime Day. Of course, 2 days in July every year now. It's becoming a grand old American tradition. We got Prime Day. And so there are quite a few deals out there. You can go search for Prime Day deals for cord cutters, and you're going to find a lot of interesting stuff. I just wanted to hit a couple things that we've talked about recently on the channel. We've talked a lot about Amazon's Fire TV stuff lately, the Fire Stick 4K, etc. Right now, the Fire Stick 4K, which is my preferred Amazon Fire device, is only 25 bucks. And so if you've ever been curious about it and you kind of just wanted to try it out, right now, 25 bucks is a screaming deal for the Amazon Fire Stick 4K. So go check that out. And the regular Fire Stick, if you prefer the non-4K version, you can get that for 15 bucks. So even cheaper, not a bad deal at all. The Roku Ultra, which is my all-time favorite streaming device. The Roku Ultra normally is $99. Right now it's on sale for 69 bucks. So you've got to get that one if you're a Roku person. If you're not a Roku person and you're just trying it out, now's a great time to grab the Ultra. But if you are somebody who likes Roku and you want to step it up to the best that they have to offer, then 69 bucks is an amazing deal. You can also get, if you go to Amazon, you can get a few other deals on Fire Edition TVs, like Toshiba's got a couple 4K TVs out. The 50-inch is 280 bucks right now, and the 55-inch is only $360. Amazing deals right now. So if you have any other Prime Day deals that you are on the lookout for, throw them in the comments here so that everybody can have a look at them. I'd love to see them as well. But that's not, it's not mostly what we're doing today. Today, I wanted to go through a few viewer comments. What we did was took a few viewer comments and chopped them up and put them in this bowl. And so I'm going to take these out and respond to what people have been talking about on our channel. Like I said, lately we have been talking a lot about Amazon Fire. We've been talking about different channels that you can watch. We talked about the recent HBO Max rollout. And if we do nothing else today, I definitely want to talk about the HBO Max rollout. But I think first things first, let's talk about a few viewer comments. So I'll pick the first one randomly. Let's see, this one. Stephen Williams says, I love watching sports and haven't had cable in 5 years. I haven't missed a sporting event yet. This was in response to our, is live sports the only reason to keep live TV anymore? I think the answer is kind of yes on this one. If you are thinking about cutting the cord and you're not quite sure whether you want to yet, live sports is probably what you're thinking about. Whether the answer is yes or no, I'm going to cut the cord. The only other thing I can think of would be cable news. And I hope you'll forgive a bit of editorializing, but that is not a good reason to keep live TV. So live sports may be the only reason left to keep it. And Steven says, I love watching live sports and haven't had cable in 5 years. I haven't missed a sporting event yet. And this gets into something that I think I talked about in that video a little bit, but maybe we could hit it a little bit harder. The beauty of streaming right now is options. It's not that every option is amazing. It's not that every option is the right one for you. And, so we'll get into that more probably with HBO Max. But you have options that you might not have otherwise. And so when you're talking about, I haven't missed a sporting event in the last 5 years, well, that's because you have ways to get out there and find those things. And so if something is only on ESPN, maybe you piggyback on your your parents' cable subscription and use the ESPN app or something like that. There's almost always a way around it. And so I applaud Stephen Williams for saying that he hasn't had cable in 5 years and hasn't missed a sporting event yet. If you are curious about how to find those sporting events, we can talk about that as well. Or you can go check out that video in our channel. Just go through the videos. It's one of the more recent ones. Evan Mendoza says, "Was up." Is that from 2003? I remember those commercials. Those were great. I love all your videos and reviews. Well, thank you, Evan. That's very nice of you to say. I hope you do enjoy them. We do work hard on them. The thing about our videos and reviews that does make them a little bit different is that I am, I don't have 30 years in the industry or something like that. I'm learning a lot of this stuff along with everybody else. And so, I may not be the leading industry expert or something like that, but I do luckily get paid, on a daily basis to research this stuff and to find the questions or to find the answers to questions that you guys have. Who cut my hair? I honestly don't remember. What I want to know is if that's an insult or a compliment. So I need you to let me know whether that's an insult or not. Either way, I'm just going to take it and run with it. Who cut my hair? I don't know. I think it was like dollar cuts or something. It looks amazing. Oh, a complaint? A compliment. I think that says a compliment. Well, thank you. That's very kind. So let's do another comment off the channel, off of a recent video. Okay, so this came from the HBO Max announcement video that we did. This one is from the Daytoner, and it says, "Release the Snyder Cut." Release the Snyder Cut. You probably can't read that because it's tiny, but it says, "Release the Snyder Cut." I love this comment. If you aren't aware, the Batman vs. Superman was was directed by Zack Snyder. It's owned by Warner Media these days, and so they have the rights to that. Zack Snyder fans, myself included, look, I'm going to out myself as a Zack Snyder fan, have been asking for the Snyder Cut of Batman vs. Superman because that movie was pretty universally trashed on, right? So not everybody loved the Zack Snyder Batman vs. Superman, but if you look at some of his previous movies, I'm thinking of Watchmen, of Sucker Punch, that sort of thing, when he gets to release his cut of a movie, then suddenly people who didn't quite get, what's this vision, what's he going for, he releases his director's cut, and it's like, oh, okay, finally. And so people are asking for that with Batman vs. Superman. They want to see what the movie would have actually looked like if Zack Snyder had gotten to do what he wanted to do and live out his vision with that movie. And so now with HBO Max, with it being owned by Warner Media, we have the opportunity potentially to get a Snyder Cut with them releasing that. I hope they do. I'm not really a Snyder Cut activist, but I am a sympathizer with the movement, shall we say. Let's see, going to the comments here. Phil Cooper says, "What's your opinion of the best cord-cutting solution? YouTube TV, DirecTV Now, etc." So, Phil, I assume you're talking about live TV options. So not on-demand options like Netflix and Hulu and that sort of thing, but how do you get live TV that you were getting on cable or satellite or whatever, and how do you get that with streaming? My opinion, these days, it's kind of hard to choose because they all have strengths and weaknesses. I am still a big fan of the option that you have on Sling TV to go cheap. Now, a lot of people will point to Sling and say, yeah, but they split up their packages, and so if you want to get ESPN and Fox Sports, you've got to get the orange and blue package, so you're paying as much as you would with Hulu Live or something like that. And that's true. That's absolutely true. But at least you have the option. If it's like, what, I never turn on Fox Sports, I only use ESPN, then I'm going to go and just get the orange package for $25. Then you still have that option. With all the other ones, they all have a ton of great strengths. I love YouTube TV's DVR. Hulu Live does really great with local channels, so does YouTube, honestly. So they all have their strengths, but they all have that price point where it's 45, $50, and you don't have the option to go down. And I'm a big fan of options, as we may talk about as we go. Let's see. So let's see. Evan Mendoza, do you? Let's see. Do you know? I think it says, do you know if Amazon's recast unit is going to get any more updates this year? I haven't heard anything about that. I haven't been keeping really on top of the recast unit, to be perfectly honest. It's something that is actually in the mail right now. It's coming for me to test out and review and to get familiar with. So that's one that I don't know about any updates coming up. Let's see. Reliance Random says, have you met Zach or anyone with notoriety? I've met a few people with notoriety. I don't know if this is quite the forum to share it. This isn't the only channel that I run. I also do some podcasts, and so I've met people in other forums as well. But maybe we'll save that for another time. Let's see. Jonathan Ladd says, any other alternatives to HD Home Run, or has HD Home Run gotten better? That one I'm not familiar with. I would actually encourage you to educate me a little bit in the comments on HD Home Run. When it comes to baseball content, it's pretty much MLB TV for me. I like to watch games live, and I'm not so much chasing down the latest and greatest stuff, or watching a ton of replays or whatever the case may be. And so for me, it's mostly MLB TV. Phil Cooper says, yeah, you're dropping DirecTV. I don't, look, this is pure speculation on my part, but I have to wonder if AT&T kind of wants you to. They don't seem very invested in making that platform really work for everybody. I could be wrong. Maybe they think it's absolutely fantastic and perfect, but I'm not sure. And with the release of HBO Max, I wonder if DirecTV Now, what its fate is going to be. Is it going to be rolled into something else? I don't know. All right. Evan is back again. I don't do sports, so for me, Philo TV, yeah, if you're not a sports person, Philo TV is fantastic. Amazon Prime and my OTA channels here in Miami are great for me, and now I'm just waiting for Disney Plus to come out. Yes, everybody's waiting for Disney Plus. It's going to be fantastic. Now, the OTA, meaning over-the-air antennas, that is something that can't be stressed enough. If you are looking for live TV, and you want local channels and whatnot, over-the-air antennas are a must. You have to include that in your setup, just because they're so convenient, so cheap these days. A fantastic option. Let's see, HD Home Run is an over-the-air DVR, says Jonathan. Oh, okay, all right, yeah, I'm not familiar with it. I'll go look it up. That's great. Reliance Random asks, at home, do you have a Roku or a blank? I have a Roku TV in my house, so that's the one that the whole family uses. Out in my studio, I have a Roku Streaming Stick Plus, a Google Chromecast, and now a Fire Stick 4K that I've added to the mix. I want to get an Apple TV as well. The reason I get all of these is because, first of all, I have to test them, and I want to get to know them. But when I do test them, like with the Apple TV, for instance, I've used it a few times, but I use the one that we keep back here in this cabinet here in the office. And every time I use it, I kind of fall in love with it a little bit more. And I love that Apple TV, so I want to get one of my own. If I were to choose one that I prefer, I love the Roku platform, and now it's been derided in the comments a few times on our channel. People say, oh, Roku is for cord-cutting beginners. It's for people who don't really, want to get into, and that's exactly right. As far as I'm concerned, it is Roku is the platform where if all you want to do is get a bunch of great content and have an easy-to-use platform, Roku is what you would use. And so I do love it, but there are aspects like with the Fire TV. The reason I got a Fire Stick is that side-loading apps into the Fire Stick is a lot easier than with some other platforms, and so I want to get something that'll do an SNES and an NES emulator, and the Fire Stick is the best way to do that as far as I can tell. And then as far as standalone gaming, the Apple TV is fantastic for that. Okay. Evan says PlayStation Vue is great as well, just pretty expensive, and I've always agreed with that. I've used PlayStation Vue quite a bit in the past, and I've always liked my experience with it. The nice thing about that was that I was able to use the Reviews.org pocketbook to pay for that. If I had to do it myself, it wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough to earn my dollars, but I'm glad that I got a chance to use it. And if somebody comes out and says, I love PlayStation Vue, it's my absolute favorite, I have a hard time arguing with that, other than that it was always pretty expensive. These days, though, when it's competing with Hulu Live and PlayStation Vue, it's not that crazy anymore. The lower tier packages especially are about on par with what you're getting with the other guys. So let's see, Money Master says, can you make a video about the best phone carrier? We've done that in the past, and we are looking to get back into cell phone coverage again, but that is on the back burner right now. As far as who I think is the best, and look, this is a few months old. My information here is a few months old because I haven't been digging into it lately. But if you want the best service, Verizon is typically going to be kind of the Cadillac of phone plans. They're going to have generally better service than the other providers. But these days, T-Mobile is really making a play to get into that upper tier. They've always kind of been, it's like T-Mobile and Sprint were down below Verizon and AT&T, and now I think T-Mobile is kind of coming up. So when we get back to phone service here in a few months, I'll be interested to see if I have a different opinion on who is placing first. Okay, another comment on the HBO Max announcement video. This one says, yeet. I don't know what that means. I'm not an old person necessarily, but I'm kind of old at heart. I don't know what yeet means, and so you're welcome to tell me in the comments. Perhaps I said something horribly offensive just now. I have no idea. I hope not. Okay, let's do another comment here. Again, from the live sports video. Is live sports the only reason to keep live TV? I love this. Okay, I'm going to have a chat with whoever picked these. Are you willfully ignorant or a con man? Where does your internet signal come from? Did you get it for free? Without basic cable subscription, they charge you an arm and a leg for internet fees. Add those into your calculation. Well, I'll cop to being ignorant about many things. I'm not a con man. If I were, I'd be a lot richer and I wouldn't work in this office. So I kind of wish I were a con man. But no, I am not. But there is a good point in here, which is you got to add the internet into your calculations. And so that actually brings up a point about why I did that calculation the way I did. If you go back and watch that video, it's all about comparing the streaming sports services, MLB TV, NHL TV, NFL Sunday Ticket, those standalone streaming services, and comparing it to what it would be like if you got all of those versus the DirecTV. Which package did I do? One of the DirecTV packages that has all the sports. And the reason that I chose that, there were two reasons. First of all, DirecTV, the reason I stacked that against the streaming packages is that it is our pick at Reviews.org for the best traditional TV provider for sports. So if you love sports, DirecTV is where you go for traditional TV. But the second reason that I chose DirecTV is because it's a satellite provider. And satellite, I went with that versus a cable provider because of this issue. I didn't want to compare a cable provider to all of these streaming services because there are bundling options with cable, and so it gets a little bit messy. Now, there are oftentimes bundling packages available with satellite providers, but what they're doing is they're teaming up with another provider like CenturyLink. Somebody teams up with CenturyLink, and now they're providing services together. But oftentimes you don't get the same kind of discount that you'd be looking at with a cable provider, and so that's why I was trying to keep it to an apples and apples comparison there. Hopefully I did all right, but that's why I chose that. So maybe ignorant, not a con man. Okay, let's see. Reliance Random says, no, you didn't. I'm not sure what that's referring to. Let's see. When can I get YouTube TV on the Fire Stick? Great question. We don't know yet. It's in the coming months. The Fire Stick now has YouTube available. They just got that up and running, I want to say about a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago. The YouTube app is now available on your Fire Stick. YouTube TV is lagging a little bit behind, but now that we have, it's official, the YouTube app is available, I think it's pretty safe to say that the YouTube TV app is not going to be too far behind. All right. Evan Mendoza says, I agree with you 100%. Verizon is better. I've had everybody else, and Verizon has never given me problems. Yeah, I mean, I am not a wealthy man. I don't like to pay a ton of money for services like these, but when it comes to like Verizon or, I use Xfinity for internet, and these aren't the cheapest options out there, but doggone it, they work. I've had Xfinity for 10 years now, and I've had a few outages, but no big deal. It just tends to work, and I'm always on board for that. Okay, let's see. You're going to have to help me out with names here. Hannes Jordan, watching your video all the way from South Africa. Love the Reviews channel. Got an Apple TV 4K based on your review. I'm glad, because I love that one. Although we are limited by region, still totes worth it. Keep it up. Well, thank you. I love the Apple TV 4K. I really do. I wish that I were more into the Apple ecosystem, because then it would make a lot more sense for me, but I'm not really. The only Apple device that I use is here in the office. Everything that I use at home is either Android or PC. Okay. Let's see. Oh, before I get to this other comment, let's talk to Matt Collender, who says, any thoughts on mesh Wi-Fi? Debating Google versus Orbi versus Linksys. So with those, I'm not an expert on mesh Wi-Fi necessarily, but I've done some research for previous videos. And what I would say is it depends on what your priority is. Is your priority ease, or is it speed? Now, it's not that the Orbi and the Linksys systems are super difficult, but they do require a little more legwork, a little more of a learning curve. The Google Wi-Fi system is incredibly easy to set up. Anybody can do it. If you have a smartphone, you can set up Google Wi-Fi. It's very, very easy. And the only drawback with Google Wi-Fi versus the others is potential for speed. And so your Google Wi-Fi will do speeds up to, I'm trying to remember, this is, memory's a little hazy, but Google Wi-Fi will do up to 500 megabits per second, or maybe it's 750, I can't quite remember. But if you have a gigabit connection, then you would want to go with a faster system. The Linksys or the Orbi would be better as far as just straight speed if you're looking to do that. Okay. Luke Stinitzer, does Roku have a web browser like Fire TV? It does not. If you need a web browser, then the Roku is not going to be a good option for you. My question, and again, this is just me, this is coming from my perspective, and so I understand that I am but one man. But my question is, what are we using browsers on the TV for? I don't get it. We're all sitting there on the couch watching TV, and we have our smartphones in our pockets, probably, or a laptop or something. What are we using these browsers for? I would love to hear your comments actually on what it is that you use a TV browser for. Is it for places that don't have an app necessarily, that you want to watch something and you do it that way? I'm not sure, but I kind of feel like I feel like a browser on a smart TV is maybe a little redundant, but that's just me. Moneymaster, Roku versus Fire TV. I talked about this a few minutes ago. I would say, for my money, Roku, just because I don't do a lot of fancy stuff with my streaming devices, and also Prime Video is not my primary watching platform, and so my viewing platform, I guess I should say. And so I think if I were more plugged into Prime Video and I were constantly using it, then it would bump the Fire TV up because it is a great device, whichever device you happen to have. It's just, it's not, it's a little more intrusive, I think. Kind of any of those branded ones, including the Apple TV, which I love, the Amazon Fire TV, which I love, the Google Chromecast, which I love, though a little bit less. But any of those branded ones are going to push you to use their or to view programs on their platform. And so if you're on Amazon Fire TV, they're trying to get you to watch Amazon content. If you need to rent something, please rent it through Amazon, et cetera, et cetera. For some people, that's not going to be a big deal. Myself, I prefer the Roku for its brand agnostic qualities. So that's just me. Gary says Roku is crap, Fire Stick is better. Fair enough. Jimmy, do you have a TCL 6 Series Roku TV? That's what I have with an Apple TV 4K. It's really nice. Yeah, it is a 6 Series TV. It is a good setup, I agree. I'm not sure what else to say to that other than, yes, Apple TV 4K is great. Actually, I will say one thing that, that I've kind of converted on a little bit. It was when I started looking into streaming TV and whatnot a few years ago, I was like, well, if I get a smart TV, why in the world would I get a smart device? This doesn't make any sense. Everything is right there. But the nice thing is, if I've got a Roku TV and I plug in an Apple TV and I plug in a Fire Stick into that, then suddenly with these different inputs, I have every every version that I would want to, every platform that I would want to use. I plugged in my Chromecast into my Roku TV because I wanted to use it to screencast, and that's incredibly easy, especially if you're on an Android phone. It's incredibly easy to do that with the Chromecast. So before I get to your other questions there in the live chat, let me do another one here. Oh my goodness, it's another angry comment. This is cord cutting actually cheaper than cable? So this is a video we did a little while ago. This says, Lynn Butterfield says, I'm calling BS on this one. You left out the cheapest service. I'm getting around 40 channels free. I'm using an old school 1979 aerial antenna that's pulling in full HD programming. Again, I'm not sure if there's anything new to say about this that I haven't said in just a few minutes ago, but over-the-air antennas, fantastic. Yes, use them. No, I didn't talk about it very much. I think I talked about it a little bit in that video. I hope I did. But yeah, if you're going to cut the cord, then yes, an over-the-air antenna is fantastic. BS or not, I guess. I don't know. Okay, let's see. Luke, you say that you use your web browser on Fire TV, I presume, to stream FNC news from a website. Okay, so is that Fox News Channel that you're using to stream from their website instead of going to an app? Okay, yeah, I guess that's kind of what I guessed. Mike Humphrey asks, what is your opinion on the new low-orbit satellite internet coming soon? Oh boy, I'm so excited about this. If you guys haven't heard about it, what's going on is that satellite internet for a long time has been frustrating, right? Satellite internet has been slow. It's got high latency, so you can't game on it. You can barely download it. Everybody is plugged into the same one or two satellites. And so they've got these satellites at, what is it, like 30,000 miles or something like that. And so that's a long distance for your signal to travel. And it got frustrating. Everybody's loaded onto these satellites, and so when traffic was high, nationwide, everybody's network was really slow, or their network experience was really slow. And so now what they're doing is these companies are launching these little tiny mini satellites. Think of it like the mesh network we were talking about before. They're going to have this mesh of thousands of satellites that will be much closer to the ground. Obviously, they're still satellites, so they are pretty high up, but they're much closer than those other ones, and they provide that mesh network. And so this is going to provide much better speeds than we've been able to get with satellite internet before. I really have high hopes for this. I want it to work well, partly because what the internet ecosystem does right now, the way that we have it set up, is it kind of if you are internet dependent, like my job, I work here on YouTube basically. I'm making these videos for you guys. If I want to continue doing this, I've got to be in an urban or suburban area. If I'm in a rural area, yeah, I can get an internet connection, but it may be spotty. Upload speeds might not be very good. I'm not able to get this broadband internet service out in rural areas the way that I can with an urban environment. And so I would love to have the option, not that I'm chomping at the bit or anything, but if, I wanted to move to a different place and have a little quieter experience, I would have that option if this mesh satellite system works out. So I really hope it does. Okay, let's see. Let's do another one of these comments out of the bowl. So picking up a random comment. This is from our Hulu's Secret Sauce. So this is a Hulu video review that we did. Let's see. APOC414 says, I've read that Hulu TV has not scaled relative to their big jump in subs added recently and that the quality of the service has gone down. Can anyone verify this? Also, let's hope new Disney ownership does not come in and ruin what looks like a great service. There's a lot to unpack here. I haven't heard anything reliable about them not scaling their service. So I assume what you're talking about is more buffering or something like that. As their subs have jumped, their servers can't handle that or something like that. I haven't experienced any of that. I do use Hulu fairly regularly, and I haven't seen anything like that. Hulu, among the big three streamers, Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime, whatever my complaints are with Hulu, they've always been the clearest. It's always been a really crystal clear service or signal there. And I haven't noticed that. The last part of this, let's hope Disney ownership doesn't come in and ruin what looks like a great service. Well, I hope they don't either, but I do have a lot of faith there. I'm skeptical about a lot of things related to Disney, but one thing I'm not skeptical about is their ability to create something that appeals to a large number of people. They've got that process dialed in. So, all right, let's get back to our live comments here. Let's see. Reliance Random says, I've only seen Roku stuff so far. Is there anything else? I'm not sure what that's referring to, but, for sale. Oh, I see. So for Prime Day, you're talking about Prime Day. Also go check out, if you go on Amazon Prime, all of their Fire TV gear is on sale as well. So Fire Stick 4K is $25. The regular Fire Stick is $15. You can get the Fire TV Cube, which is the one with the Amazon Alexa built in. That one, I want to say it's $69 or $59. Either way, it's a great deal for that one as well. My personal favorite is the Fire Stick 4K, and so I picked that one up today for myself, so I don't have to pull the one out of the closet here. I picked one up for myself for $25. So there are some other deals out there, including Amazon Fire TVs. So which, I'm sorry, is a naming convention that drives me crazy. It's a TV with Fire TV built in, so it's confusing to talk about, but Toshiba has some 4K Amazon Fire TV enabled TVs for sale. 50 inches for $280, 55 inches for $360. So fantastic deals are out there. Let's see. Moneymaster says, can't wait for the Disney Plus bundle. Might be the best bundle ever. Agreed. And like I said before, I have, I'm not a blanket Disney fan the way that some people are, including my boss, who I hope isn't watching this. I'm not a Disney fanboy, but I gotta say, as a parent of 2 kids, I cannot wait for Disney Plus to come out. I've thought about buying DVDs, but for the last 6 months, it's like, nope, Disney Plus is coming. Just hang in there. It's going to be fantastic. Let's see. Hans Jordan says, HBO Max, another money-grabbing service. When will it stop? Let's save HBO Max. I think we'll go for another 5 or 10 minutes, and I'll save that one for last. Scott asks, what would your ultimate streaming setup look like? Device, channels, price? Great question. I'm actually starting the process of putting this together because I think I'm going to make a video out of it. whether it's the ultimate streaming setup, or I think more likely it's I'll do tiers. Like, okay, if you're willing to spend $30 a month, here's what you can get. If you're willing to spend 50, and if you're willing to spend 75 or $100, here's what the ultimate package would be. For me, my cap is probably around $50 a month for streaming services, and so I have the three major ones: Netflix, Amazon, and Hulu, and that comes in at just under $30. You add HBO Now on top of that, and now we're creeping up to, I think it's 42 once I add that in there. And I'm not a big sports fan. I don't watch every sport out there, but I love Major League Baseball, and so I get MLB TV, and that runs for the all teams package. I think it's $120 for the season. And so broken down over 6 months, it's, or I guess we could break it down over 12 months if we wanted to and say it's $10 a month, but it's only good for 6 months. So $20 a month on that. And that puts me over my $50 limit. But that is, for me, that's a sweet spot. But the thing that I'm missing out on is live TV. I don't personally do a lot of live TV these days. If you did want to get live TV, then I would probably say, depending on the price point you're going for, I would either point people toward YouTube TV or Hulu Live if they want what I think is the best service out there, or Sling if they want something that's going to keep things cheap. And as somebody mentioned earlier, Philo is great as well. The only catch there is if you want to watch live sports, Philo is not going to be a great option for you, or any option at all, since they don't have any of those sports channels. So I hope I answered MNSH's question, what's my preferred streaming service? So that's my live TV streaming service preference. But when it comes to on-demand content, again, those big three, Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime, as a streaming service, my go-to is Netflix. Maybe it's just the power of inertia and the habits that I've gotten into, but I do like a lot of their programming. Hulu I love for the fact that it's kind of a good combo service as far as keeping up with TV and getting a few good originals as well. Prime I like, but I only like. I don't love Prime, the Prime Video, that is. The great thing about Prime, and the reason that it's a necessity, is that it comes with Amazon Prime and the free shipping and the deals, the shopping deals and all that. So that one's a necessity for that reason. But I don't necessarily love it the way that I love the others. Hulu I'm keeping around because Veronica Mars is coming out later this month, and anybody who was in college around the time I was 10 years ago or more is probably pretty excited for Veronica Mars as well. Reliance Random says, I thought you would have all the channels. Well, we're getting into the difference between how I operate at work and how I operate at home. Yes, at Reviews.org, we're signed up for all the services, and I get to play with them and experience them, and that's why I've been able to choose the ones that I use most often here at home, there at home, because I do have the opportunity to use them all here at work. So I am blessed in that way. Okay. Joe Cox says YouTube TV not on Fire TV yet. Yes, that's true. Hang in there. I think within a month or two that is going to be solved, because YouTube is now available on the Fire TV. Okay, now let's get into HBO Max. Hans Jordan's comment earlier, HBO Max, another money-grabbing service. When will it stop? Moneymaster says, why are there so many HBO apps? HBO Now, HBO Go, HBO Max. So let's talk about HBO. First of all, I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good. The only problem is that the powers that be with this rollout have, in my opinion, really kind of screwed this up, because they keep dribbling out little pieces of information and then just telling us, oh, it's a possibility. And so Randall Stevenson, the CEO, comes out and says, yeah, we're looking at a streaming service. It'll be $16 or $17 a month. And we're like, great. What does that mean, and why is it so much more expensive than other streaming services? What are we going to get with that? But that was months ago. And then they come out with the HBO Max announcement and say, here's the streaming service, and it's going to have HBO, and it's going to have DC stuff, and it's going to have Crunchyroll and all these different brands under it. Look at all this stuff that it's going to have, and everybody raises their hand and says, but does the price point still hold true? Is it still going to be 16 or 17 bucks? Radio silence, and it's incredibly frustrating for somebody like me who's trying to follow this industry and understand what's going on. Where we need answers. If you're going to announce a service, give us more answers. And along those lines, this question from Moneymaster, why are there so many HBO apps? That's a great question. Where are these going to go? There are rumblings that no, HBO Now is totally going to stick around. HBO Max is just a different thing. Well, now we have HBO Kids, HBO Latino or something like that, and we have HBO Go. HBO Go is the version of HBO that goes with your linear TV. So if you're subscribed to HBO through Xfinity or DirecTV or whoever your traditional TV provider is, HBO Go allows you to watch your HBO content through an app or on the go or whatever. HBO Now is the one that is completely standalone. And so I don't subscribe to any traditional TV, but I subscribe to HBO Now, and so I get to watch all the HBO content. And now there's going to be HBO Max. So it was already confusing with Go versus Now, and now there's going to be Max, and they're saying, no, we're going to keep it all around. I don't see how they're going to do that. If they do, it just seems like it'd be even more frustrating than it is now, and so I really hope they get rid of some of that. All right, guys, I'm going to stick around for just a few more minutes. Maybe I'll do one more question out of the bowl here. So if you haven't been watching, I have a bowl of comments that the Reviews.org team has picked from the channel for me to talk about. So, okay, this is on the same subject, the HBO Max video, the announcement video that we did a little while ago. I already subscribe to a lot of streaming services. And so I think the idea here is, why am I going to sign up for one more streaming service? And this gets into something that I talked about in a recent video that you may or may not have seen, but it's this idea that the golden age of streaming is over, when we could get a ton of content for really cheap. And I really disagree with this sentiment. I see it in places like The Atlantic. This is a very well-respected magazine where it's kind of like a hot take in a really nice magazine, and I'm kind of scratching my head thinking, what do you mean it's over? Because with the HBO Max announcement, now we have Disney Plus, and we've got Apple TV Plus, and we've got all the the more traditional things, or the things that we've had for the last decade or so, Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime and all this stuff. And people are saying, like, well, this is looking like my old cable bill. If I want to get all this stuff, then I've got to shell out just as much as I was shelling out for cable or satellite. And my response to that is, yeah, but you kind of skipped over the most important word in that, and that word is if. If you want to get everything the way that you used to get everything through TV, through cable or satellite, then yeah, you are going to pay for it. But that's if you want to get all that. Now you have the option with all of these streaming services that you can just say no. I've got enough streaming options. I don't need to watch every single show on every single network. I can kind of pick and choose. Now, this does have downsides. A generation ago, we used to have water cooler shows, and so you would come into work the next day and talk about what your favorite characters got up to on this or that show. And we still have something approaching that. A few years ago it was The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones was this way, Breaking Bad maybe, but even these they had much smaller audiences than things used to a generation ago. And so I think we could say that it's too bad that we're losing some of the monoculture that came along with that sort of thing. But frankly, I think the upsides are just too much. We have options now, and so if I want to spend $100 on TV so that I have every option available every day, then I can do that. But if you're like me, and I watch some TV but not a lot every day, then you don't have to have all that, and you can set your cap at $30 a month and say, if I can get whatever I can get for $30 a month, I'm going to get, and you have those options. And so, with all the hand wringing that comes out with all of these new services, I get it, I understand it, but I think maybe just stop and think about it a little bit longer and realize that having the options there will really be a benefit for everybody. So I am going to sign off here in just a moment. So if you have any last questions, go ahead and throw them in the live chat. Mike Humphrey, I'm ready to get rid of my high Comcast internet bill for something cheaper. Hopefully the low orbit satellite internet. Agreed. That'll be fantastic. The neighborhood that I live in right now, we're supposed to get fiber soon. And like I said earlier, I've been with Xfinity Internet for 10 years, and I'll drop them like a bad habit if I can get fiber for as cheap or cheaper. So anyway, all right, that should do it for today, guys. I appreciate you chiming in and hitting up those comments. It was great to chat with all of you. We may do this again, so let me know what you thought of it. Hit the comments below if this video is already aired. Or hit that live chat and let me know if you thought this was good and if you'd like to do this again on a regular or at least semi-regular basis. Thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you next time.